Hello and welcome to Bree's Corner, where we delve into unsolved mysteries, murders, the supernatural, and disturbing mishaps found on the internet. I want to say that I do my best to gather the most accurate information. All of my references are in the description box below. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It will cost you nothing.
Within minutes of getting home from a function with other Masons in central London, James Durrant was lying here dead in a pool of blood. The attack was so brutal, police could not tell whether he'd been blasted with a gun or battered to death with another weapon.
The unsolved murder of James Durrant has been a crime that has plagued the UK since 1988. On October 26, 1988, Durrant, a reasonably wealthy 74-year-old retired solicitor and former squadron leader in the RAF during World War II, attended an evening Masonic gathering at the Connaught Rooms in Covent Gardens. In his role of treasurer for the Anglo-Dutch Lodge. After the gathering, Durrant then had dinner with friends at the Sugarloaf pub located at 40 Great Queen Street, currently called Philomena's Irish Pub or Bar and Kitchen. He then headed home around 8:30 later that evening. Durrant was described as a quiet elderly man who was beginning to suffer in health just a little by his son Christopher. That evening, Margaret, Durrant's wife, visited their son Christopher for dinner. Noticing that she had not heard from her husband, she grew concerned. Upon returning home on 12 Crane Park Avenue, the pair entered the home shortly before midnight and found James on the floor, unalive. No one knows how he got to his home. No one had seen him since the bar. Detectives found that there were no signs of forced entry and that he had been killed with a blunt, heavy, smooth object in a single blow. There were also knife wounds in the upper half of his body. Nothing was missing from the scene except for his dark leather wallet, which did contain some cash and a few miscellaneous letters. These findings ruled out robbery as a motive because there was still money left on the body. The door on the porch was closed and left unlocked after the murder, and the murder weapons were not found on the scene. Durrant's wife, Margaret, thinks that there could have been a connection to James' membership in the Masons. The family was not aware of anyone who would want to hurt James. Malcolm Butcher, the detective superintendent, stated to the local newspaper that the victim could have known the suspect. After exhausting all of the leads, police closed the active investigation on January 1989, according to the newspaper reports. On the 1 year anniversary, the family put up a reward for information at the sum of £25,000. There are two possible crimes that could have been committed by the same suspect, and they were the murders of Deborah Lindsley, who was stabbed to death in March 1988, and Allison Shinesty, who was also stabbed to death in her home in 1991. Though the crimes may be connected, there is no concrete evidence of the connection. The mystery of Bible John. This story takes place in Glasgow in the late 1960s, and a serial killer was on the loose by the moniker of Bible John. His unfortunate victims were Patricia Charlotte Wilson Docker, age 25, Jemima Ramsey Gibson McDonald, age 31, and Helen Goins, age 29. As far as research goes, Patricia was the only child of Royal Air Force electronic engineer John Wilson and his wife Pauline. As a child, she lived in Gloucestershire and later with her mother made a trip to Singapore upon the P&O troop ship to reconnect with her father, Fleet Lieutenant Wilson. After her father's tour in Singapore, the family moved to Glasgow. At the young age of 19, Patricia married Alexander Docker, who was a senior aircraftman in the Royal Air Force, and they soon had a son by the name of Sandy. Alex was stationed in Cyprus, where the family settled down. The babysitter, who called Patricia Pat, said that she was a nice lady and she always dressed nicely. But like a lot of young couples, things began to sour and the couple separated. And after the separation, in April of 1967, Patricia moved back to Glasgow and became an auxiliary nurse. While working the night shift and splitting shifts, she had the support of her mother in rearing her now 4-year-old son. As we all do, Pat took out some time from her busy schedule to go out on the town and dance once a week. In February of 1968, Patricia was found slain in the doorway of a locked garage. The night before, she had spent some time at the Barlin Ballroom. The second victim of Bible John was Jemima Ramsey McDonald. Little is known about her except the fact that she had 3 children at the time of her demise, and she also was a patron of the Barlin Ballroom. She was said to be with a well dressed man the night before her murder. The man in question was said to have a Glaswegian accent and was also known to quote Bible scriptures throughout the conversation. Later that night, Miss McDonald was seen leaving the Barlin Ballroom with the mysterious man and never returned home. Her body was found by her sister in August of 1969, and it was found in a dilapidated tenement building. It appeared that she had been severely beaten and SA'd. The third victim was Helen Goins Puttock. On the night of her murder, Helen had attended the same ballroom, Barlin, with her older sister. But we'll get back to that. Let's talk a little bit about who Helen was. Helen was a woman who could wear many hats. She worked on buses and had been a bookie and a furrier. After her heartbreak, Helen moved in with her brother. While staying with her brother, she met George Puttock, who was a lance corporal in the Royal Corps of Signals. And they soon were wed at the age of 23 in March 1964. The couple went on to have 2 sons, David and Michael. The family soon moved to Germany, where George was sent to serve a stint in his military career. After arriving in Germany, Helen realized that she did not like living there, and she soon returned to Earl Street, Glasgow, to live with her mother around mid March 1969. After her return to Glasgow, her husband took leave, or in civilian terms, vacation, and went to win his family back. But Helen no longer wanted to be a part of that relationship. Now we get to the night out. On the day of the outing, Helen's sister said that Helen had gone to C&A. While shopping, Helen picked out a black dress with gold buttons that went up the front and a faux fur oxalate print coat. This is the outfit she wore out that night. When Helen departed the Barlin Ballroom, she shared a cab with her sister and a strange man named John, who was quoting Bible scripts, particularly ones from the Old Testament, henceforth the moniker Bible John. Helen's body was found on Halloween of 1969 in the back garden or backyard of her flat. Upon her discovery, it was said that she too was SA'd and had been beaten. According to the BBC, the original police report describes the women as highly promiscuous, fond of male company, and liking the attention of men. The police had already had it in their minds that this was supposed to happen to all three of the women just because they went off to let off some steam. In 1995, John Irving McInnes's body was exhumed and DNA extracted to be tested against semen found on Miss Potock's stockings. The test results came back negative. Years later, in 2007, the killer, Peter Tobin, became the suspect in the murders. When this happened, he was already in prison with a life sentence for 3 murders he had committed from 1991 to 2006. His first conviction was because he SA'd and physically assaulted 2 girls in 1993 and was sentenced to 10 years for his offense. Tobin's other victims were Vicki Hamilton, Dina McNichol, and Angelica Cluck. For this, he received 3 life sentences. Tobin's DNA was also tested against the semen found on Potock's stockings. They were found to be negative. So to this day, we still do not know who Bible John was. If you have made it this far in my video and you like the information that I put out, please like and subscribe to the channel so that it can be pushed in the algorithm. And if you have any comments or any critiques on how my video was, please leave a comment below. I'm definitely open to criticism, constructive criticism, and this is Bree's Corner.